Johnson alongside Michael Caratanudo from NBC Sports Radio, Sports Hangover out there in Arizona, and, of course, my man Jake Rongholt, soon-to-be production assistant in Connecticut at CBS Sports. Gentlemen, what's going on? How are you?
Oh, wonderful. Wonderful.
Oh, terrific. Another great Saturday in quarantine. So, yep.
So we're gonna keep it going here. We're gonna get you guys our picks 11 through 20. So our first round, our mock predictions, if you will, see who we think. Everybody remembers who they took 1 through 10, and if not, you can definitely check us out on all of our social media facets and be reminded. So, Jake, I'm gonna start with you at number 11 with the Jets, sir. Who do you like the Jets taking at number 11?
Well, I can see that. Well, I mean, there's a lot of things that's happening right now with the Jets. I mean, Robbie Anderson now gone, so a lot of people think, oh, it's going to be a wide receiver. But honestly, what they need help the most is still offensive line. They don't know what's going on with their right tackles. So I think, the best offensive tackle that's left on the board has got to be Jedrick Willis out of Alabama. I mean, the guy could play left tackle. He could play right tackle. He's going to be a very strong exterior that they definitely need. So Sam Darnold can keep up and, be able to have like 3 to 5 seconds to throw that football. I mean, I know a lot of people want to get really high on a wide receiver here, but understand that the Jets they have somebody different, Joe Douglas, who actually has a pretty good record with the Philadelphia Eagles back then, and he knows how to draft later on in the round. So I think the Jets are going to go after offensive line. That's what you need. The Patriots are in a different transition, and Buffalo is, trying to be that team that's going to be, one of the tops in the NFL. But the Jets, if you want to win, if you want to be able to be in this race in the AFC East, you got to go get offensive line, and Jedrick Willis is probably the best left.
All right, well, I took him off my board already. So,
you did?
Mike, I did. I took him. Remember, I have him at number 8 going to Arizona. So, Mike, who do you got at number 11 to the Jets?
Well, I had him going to Cleveland, and I was just about to say that, Eric, because Jake's the only one that didn't have him in the top 10, which, come on, baby. Jake. Come on, Jake. Quit being a Tristan Wirfs homer. Quit being a Tristan Wirfs homer, Jake. No, I'm just kidding. But I am going with, as much as it pains me, but I am going with Jerry Jeudy. Losing Anderson's one thing, but even if they would have had Anderson, I'm telling you right now, guys, I would have taken Jerry Jeudy. Look, I love the kid's speed. I know the other day, Eric, I was teasing about what he did against the Mississippi defense, but I mean, again, even though LSU did beat Bama this year, I mean, Jeudy still had a sick game against, a ton of great defense, a ton of solid defensive backs, I should say. So Sam Darnold gets that big, deep threat. I mean, Jeudy can still do stuff underneath, though, too. That's what I like, because these deep guys, everyone's like, oh, they just, they're a one-trick pony. They used to even say that about your boy, Deshaun Jackson. I'm like, dude, he can go across the middle. That's the thing. When everybody just drops like 20 yards off, and he's making those deep in patterns. So I love Jerry Jeudy to the Jets. It helps Sam Darnold. Offensive line, we'll see. I mean, it can't get any worse than it was last year, so we'll see what happens. But you can't pass up a generational talent receiver like Jeudy at 11.
Wow, big words, calling him a generational talent. Okay.
It's generational speed, man.
All right. For me, I'm actually staying in the wide receiver because I agree with you, Mike. Darnold needs weapons. He needs something, and I don't think we don't even know the status of Quincy Enunwa, let alone is Le'Veon Bell coming back. So I'm actually going with CeeDee Lamb from Oklahoma. I think he'll fit that scheme a lot better with Sam Darnold. I like the Oklahoma. And listen, this young man, I think I don't like to use comparisons a lot of the times, but when you look at CeeDee Lamb, a name that you have to kind of throw out there, he has the makings of being an AB. I really feel that way. So that's why I say CeeDee Lamb goes to the Jets. Now, when you go to number 12 to the Las Vegas Raiders, I think Jeudy fits better with John Gruden. And, well, whether it be Carr or Mariota, we're still not sure. But I have Jerry Jeudy going number 12 to the Las Vegas Raiders. Mike, who do you got?
Well, I do have a receiver, and I have his teammate, actually, because John Gruden fell in love with the faster of the two guys, Henry Ruggs III, who is the faster of the two. John Gruden wants that, and I'm with you. I mean, I love Mariota, but he is not – I don't think he's going to beat out Derek Carr. I mean, Gruden, he needs to get over this quarterback thing. Derek Carr, like we said, had that team in the playoffs, and I mean, was a legitimate chance to win the AFC that year until he got injured. So I go with Henry Ruggs III. You bring that speed again. They had one of the best tight ends in the league last year. That was, again, not fully underrated, but when the whole Antonio Brown thing went down in the Raiders, it had a bumpy start to the season. But again, you can see it there. And again, they have his old teammate Josh Jacobs is running back who is 6. So I think he goes with Henry Ruggs III. You can't coach speed. And
very true. Very true.
And I just think that, Gruden loves it. Obviously Mark Davis is there, but the Al Davis, he wanted the speed, the guys that could blow the top off the defense. And believe me, Ruggs will do that. It'll open stuff up under the middle. So I like him there with the Raiders.
All right, Jake, who you got going to the Raiders, number 12?
Well, you took mine, Eric. I got to go with Jerry Jeudy. This is one thing I'm really impressed with the Raiders is how Mike Mayock and John Gruden were able to create this roster last year. Find this blessing in disguise with Darren Waller off that tight end spot. But you look at the depth chart right now for the Raiders, and it is a mess. Aside from Tyrell Williams, their other wide receiver number 1 is Zay Jones. And Zay Jones has done nothing. He's been a bust from Buffalo, and I don't think he's going to really do much with the Raiders. Jerry Jeudy is a pro-ready wide receiver. Reminds me a lot of Amari Cooper back when he was at Alabama. You look at the numbers, 15 to 19 yards after the catch. Last 2 years, 24 touchdowns, 10 touchdowns in 2018, 2019, 14 touchdowns, back-to-back 1,000-yard seasons plus. And this is just somebody you need. And you need that aggressive, outside the box mentality, and you're going to be bringing that with Jerry Jeudy in Las Vegas, because if he has that to throw to Derek Carr, the Raiders could be a sleeper team for the playoffs coming up here.
Wow. All right.
Too bad he'll be with the Jets though.
Yeah, it might be. It's amazing. 11, 12, and 13. We could possibly see 3 wide receivers off the board just like that.
Speaking of, all right. So yeah, Jake, 49ers at 13. Who you like?
There's a reason why the Niners took that 13th pick from the Colts. They need a wide receiver. Emmanuel Sanders that went to the Saints, so they need somebody that's going to really help out Deebo Samuel. Samuel's not a deep ball threat, so you need to go get CeeDee Lamb out of Oklahoma. The guy had an incredible year, 21 yards after the catch. He is a unbelievable speed. He only ran a 4.5 in the 40, but if you watch him on that deep ball, those go routes, that's what Jimmy Garoppolo needed last year. He didn't have that deep ball threat. Now he is going to have it with him. He made Jalen Hurts better, and he was able to have 14 touchdowns. If you watch him, he was a human highlight reel. If you're the 49ers, there's a reason you're in that number 13 spot. Go after and get CeeDee Lamb.
See, this is why at 13, I'm actually taking the guy who you just mentioned in Henry Ruggs III. This guy is a versatile, big play speedster, and to complement Deebo Samuel, plus just to get guys off the defensive line and be able to separate himself, I think he's going to fit a better scheme with Shanahan and Jimmy G. So that's why I say I like him, your boy, Henry Ruggs III, going to the 49ers. Mike?
Well, since he'll be gone, Jeudy and Ruggs will both be gone. And it's the West Coast, and you guys are a little bit West Coast slow. They are going to go with Brandon Ayuk out of my Arizona State University.
Wow.
And you can say ooh all you want. He runs just as good deep routes as –
It was good.
You talk about speed. You talk about return and punch. You talk about a returner. But you talk about go routes. Everybody thought, it was Frank Darby. He had a true freshman quarterback thrown to him. And by the time it hit the Oregon game, again, with that Oregon secondary, which does not suck, as we all know, Ayuk got behind them quite a bit and got behind a lot of people. So I think they go with the West Coast guy. Again, I see what you're saying about CeeDee Lamb. I do like his game. I think Ayuk, though, again, seeing him more, but even watching Lamb, is a much better route runner. I think that was his biggest improvement when we talk about film guys from last year, his junior year, because he was a JUCO transfer, but he was playing on the other side of N'Keal Harry, who we know got a ton of attention. And it was about halfway through his junior season that he was comfortable. But I'm telling you right now, as a punt returner as well, the Niners are gonna love it, and he will take the top off of defenses as well. And since Ruggs is gone, I was kind of going back and forth, Eric, but I think that John Gruden needs that needs that burner. And Brandon Ayuk is the man staying out west, going to the 49ers. And as you know, having to root for another Sun Devil on a team that I can't stand.
All right,
I
fair
buy
enough.
it. No, I buy it. I think that's a good move because honestly, he was one of the reasons that you watch Pac-12 football at 9 o'clock at night. I mean, at 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock.
Okay, Jake.
No, it was.
Slow your roll.
I watched
After dark
Pac-12
is the worst
football on
idea.
ESPN, and I wanted to watch Arizona State because I love Herman Edwards. And watching that wide receiver play like that, he was a baller out there and a lot of fun to watch. So.
All right, 14 at the Bucs. So, of course, the biggest question is what do you do? Because you know, Brady's there. You got Mike Evans. You got Chris Godwin. They sent Perryman to the Jets. That
Can
offense.
I go first?
If you want to go first, sure, please go right ahead.
Go
the
for
Bucs
it.
at 14. Mike, who you got?
Okay, because I know it's your backyard, so I'm going first. And this is my trade. And it's a teeny bit homerish. It's a teeny bit homerish, Eric, but it makes sense because they're not taking a receiver. And I know outside of Jake, but we pretty much, all agree that 11, 12, and 13 are all going to be receivers. Cowboys don't want a receiver. But they jump Atlanta because we know Atlanta needs secondary help. So the Cowboys make the trade with the Bucs. They go from 17 to 14, and they take who I think is maybe not as quick, but I think is a much better cover guy, as solid as a cover guy as what's his name from Ohio State? Why can't I think of his name?
Chase Young.
No.
Yeah. Thank you. And I think, but they go with C.J. Henderson out of Florida. And Florida did have, they've had a better 2 seasons. I like him on the outside, and obviously losing Byron Jones, who you can't pay everybody, and they needed to bring in defensive line guys who knew Cooper was getting a deal. Well, I knew Cooper was going to get a deal. So I think Henderson from Florida, and I like the way he played. Again, some of the receivers he went up against, I know that he never really had like a terrible game. Nobody blew up on him. It's college football. Everybody's going to get their yards. We understand that. But I think he's long enough. I think he's got – obviously, and not just because Byron Jones has been in the NFL. I didn't want to lose Byron Jones, and I told you that, Eric, because I know they can't pay everybody, and I think he was figuring he was going to be the short man on the stick. And it's so they get a first-round corner, and they jump both the Falcons and the Broncos there. Because again, I think any one of those 2 teams could probably try and trade up with the Bucs too, because neither of them are going to take receivers. Obviously, the Bucs don't need a receiver. Desperately. So I like Henderson out of Florida. They need to a solid corner there would do. It'll be interesting, but the Cowboys trade up and they get Henderson from Florida.
All right, Jake, who you got at 14?
You could definitely make a good argument on that, but I think the Buccaneers, one of their biggest things they need a good, solid pass rush, and William Golston is not really, have been solid for them. And I think that K'Lavon Chaisson from LSU, they need that versatile pass rusher that can help out Jason Pierre-Paul. If you watch this guy, he is a mauler. He crashes right through that blindside tackle. He's able to get a good swim or rip move across it. And that's what the Buccaneers need. They need somebody on defense that can really excite the crowd, because while this offense is going to be tops in Tampa, their defense was a problem. That front seven had issues with the run and the passing last year, getting way too much time in the pocket for their opposing quarterbacks. And Chaisson would be just that blessing in disguise, come out of nowhere guy that the Bucs go and draft and decide to beef up that front seven that has Sue, that has Levante David in there. But you just need somebody that's ready, and he was one of Ed Orgeron's guys last year. Go with the LSU product.
See, Jake, I'm going to stay in the same position as you and say edge, but I guess this is my homer pick because I'm going with my dude from Penn State, Yerder Gross-Matos. I think he's going to be the guy that the Bucs pick up.
He's good.
And as a Big Ten guy, as a Penn State guy, like I said, this might be my homer pick, but I definitely want to see him down here. For all the points that you made about the Bucs defense just needing to grab a sense of identity, no disrespect to K'Lavon Chaisson, but I just think because I've seen more tape on Gross-Matos, I think he's going to be the better fit. So I'm taking him at 14 going to the Bucs. Now, when you come to 15 – Go ahead.
I was just going to say real quick, Eric, that was my problem thinking about the 11 through 20 in the trade, because of where Atlanta's at, and we'll get to that in a second. But you'll see why I say that. But yeah, I can see the Bucks doing that.
So now,
because the Broncos don't need a corner. They have AJ Bowie and they got Bryce Callahan, so they're fine at that spot. So they're not going to go get CJ Henderson. I don't think the Cowboys really need to make that trade. I think they can wait and trade with the Falcons, but we'll get into that.
Yeah, but the Falcons will. We'll get to that.
Okay, so this one, all right. So the Broncos are going to be real quick, so we can keep it going here. With the Broncos at 15, I'm saying they go get the linebacker because, as we know, Von Miller is pretty much on the downward spiral of his career, and I think he needs to start getting someone ready to replace him in the few years coming. So I say they go get Kenneth Murray, linebacker from Oklahoma, for right now to assist Von Miller, but to be the next moving forward. Mike, Broncos, who do you got?
Yeah, I mean, I'll be really short. I was looking at it. I like your pick there, and now that I hear it, I would kind of agree with you. But I haven't taken Javon Kinlaw.
Okay, so North Carolina.
From North Carolina. Yeah,
I had him going to Jacksonville at 9. Jake, who do you got at 15 with the Broncos?
I got Andrew Thomas out of Georgia. He was still on my board at this point, and Garrett Bullis.
That's right.
He's been a problem at left tackle. He didn't really do a good job. That blind side was a big problem for Denver. They were ranked 25th out of 32 teams in the offensive line. A lot of critics were talking about Bullis being the issue. He can't stay healthy. And if you watch Andrew Thomas, you need a pancake guy. You need somebody that can be that person that right off that snap, he can pull up that block on that defensive tackle and then go after his defensive end and be able to continue. He's also very quick. I mean, on these run plays that you saw with DeAndre Swift, Thomas was catching up to Swift at this point, and then he was able to knock out one of the corners off that. You need somebody in Denver that can really help out Melvin Gordon and Phillip Lindsay. They are absolutely A-okay on defense. They might go out to their defensive end, but I think they need that offensive line because you're going against the Chiefs. You got the Raiders who are going to be better this year. And then the Chargers. We don't know what's going to be with the Chargers at this point. But the Broncos feel like they got a team that can be a wild card team at this point. Go get an offensive lineman. Get Andrew Thomas.
Yeah. I like that pick a lot. All right, so let's get into the whole Atlanta-Dallas thing, and I'll let you two gentlemen, let me just get mine out the way here, and then I'll let you guys do your thing. So for me, the Falcons at 16, Jake, that's where I like Andrew Thomas. I feel like between Matt Ryan, Julio Jones, Calvin Ridley, whoever their running back's going to be, Ito Smith? I mean, they lost Austin Hooper, so I was thinking first they take a tight end, but I'm thinking you can get a tight end later rounds. So that's why I'm saying to you, Andrew Thomas out of Georgia, hometown boy, going to the Falcons. Go ahead, gents.
Well,
go ahead, Mike.
I was going to say, that's where I have Atlanta taking Clavon Chasen right there because, again, Tampa, that's the part with the trade that's tough, but I think the Cowboys, whatever they do to sweeten it for Atlanta, maybe even with some of the compensatory picks that you get or for Tampa, but they drop below Atlanta, and Atlanta gets Chasen because with these quarterbacks, I mean, like everything you said, I'm not going to repeat, but I think Atlanta takes them right there, and that's where Tampa again maybe misses out. If they really want him, then maybe they don't pull off the trade. But I just I like Chasen going there to the Falcons.
Jake, who you got at 16?
I think the Falcons are going to trade with the Cowboys, and the Cowboys will take number 16. They'll get C.J. Henderson. If you watch this guy's film, it's unbelievable. The relentless motor that this guy has. He's a pass protection specialist. You watch him on the deep ball. He was such an issue for guys like Jordan Love at this point because one of the things that really makes C.J. Henderson what he is that he can shut down those sideline passes right off that right side. That's one of his best things. That's something that Darrelle Revis was very good with. Darrell Green was good with the Redskins. And this is what I saw out of Henderson. There was a little shade of those two players in him. And I think if the Cowboys really want that replacement with Byron Jones, you go get this guy because I feel like Henderson is just a far better player than Byron Jones. And I think he could do a great job with Dallas.
Whoa. Byron Jones.
Maybe I went a little too Skip Bayless. I understand that.
Byron Jones. Yeah, you did.
Trying to beef up your Cowboys a little bit here, Mike.
Hey. But Jake, Byron Jones played safety and corner. I mean, he was a yo-yo. He had no position his first 2 years because they needed help in both spots. So, look, Can Henderson get – yeah, but Jake, that's kind of a pointless trade. That's almost like the Niners-Bears a few years ago. Why would the Cowboys just trade up one spot? Because if you are on of the ilk that the Falcons aren't going to take a corner, the Cowboys could stay pat at 18. I just think the Broncos – and I see what we're saying about linebackers, but I think the Broncos, if the Cowboys didn't trade up, Atlanta's not taking – or Tampa's not taking Henderson. I think the Broncos would have taken Henderson right there too to get – more because you mentioned the Chiefs. I mean, yeah, Phillip Rivers, okay, not there. You mentioned the Chargers. You know the Raiders want to throw the ball. You can't have enough talented DBs. So that's why if the Cowboys can't pull off the trade with Tampa, then, I mean, I could see maybe the Niners trading down, but I don't think the Cowboys are going to mortgage that much to go up to 13. You go up to 4. I know it's one spot, but I'm not trading. I mean, if you think Atlanta's going to take them, then yeah. But, I mean, to me, that's a terrible game of liar's poker from Atlanta because, like you just said, you see what they need. And with these quarterbacks now, you need an extra pass rusher like that. You need somebody who can destroy stuff. So,
all right, Mike, who was your pick again?
My pick?
Yeah.
For Atlanta at 16, I went with because I still had Clavon Chasen on the board.
Okay.
So I say they go with Chasen. So that's
right.
why. I mean, you go with the pass rusher, and that's why but at 17 with Tampa too, I mean, that's why I haven't taken Mekhi Becton. But, I mean, they're going to miss out.
I forgot you still had Becton on the board.
Still has him in there, yeah.
Yes, I did. That's why. Because I just think with the trade that I had up top, and I just think that because I would have had – personally, I would have Becton going 11 through 13 somewhere. But if the Jets do take Judy, like I think, again, it pressures the Raiders. Again, you need a pass rush, but, I mean, we all know how John Gruden did with that. But I mean, you can't coach 4.25 speed.
Right.
So I mean, I just think it's the run on receivers, and I think Becton with the trade. So that's why Tampa can't really be too upset. I mean, in a way, I mean, I'd want Chasen, but I mean, I just think that the Cowboys aren't going to trade one spot with Atlanta because that would be that. Well, again, Jerry Jones, who knows? But that would be an absolutely terrible trade, just going up one spot.
Well, Mike, here's an early Christmas present from me to you because I still have him on the board. So at 17, Dallas does take Clavon Chasen for all the points that both you and Jake made. I don't think nothing more really needs to be said about this young man.
Right.
And an edge rusher is something that Dallas severely needs, especially if they're going to be attacking either side. So that's why, there you go, Mike.
Wow.
I gave you Clavon Chasen. There you go at 17. Jake, who you got at 17?
Wow. 17, I got the Falcons, and I think they're going to go out to the edge rusher from Wisconsin. That's Zach Bond. Zach Bond was the successor to T.J. Watt, who went to Pittsburgh. And if you watch the way Bond was, Jim Leonard loved the daylights out of this kid because he was able to come in there, great substitute for Watt after he went to the Steelers. And he had 12.5 sacks on the year. He was fast. He was elusive. He was able to crash off that blind side once again. And if you watch him, when he sacks the quarterback, he not just goes after you, he leaps and makes the hit on you. And that's one of the best things about him. He also can be able to have that ability to pick up that football, really confuse the quarterback. And then the Falcons just lost Vic Beasley. He was injury riddled. He went to the Titans. You need to bring in somebody who is not injury riddled, that has a good history of being healthy. And that's what Zach Bond did in Wisconsin. He was one of the best players last year.
All right, so we'll jump here back to Miami at 18. Mike?
Oh, boy.
Miami at 18. Who you like?
Well, this is where, again, I had to do a little I had to do a little looking and digging, but this is your boy from Penn State. Because all the trades that went up against them, I mean, for everything you said and having seen a few, Penn State games when they played, those powerhouses in Indiana and Northwestern and stuff like that. And considering that ASU dominated Michigan State at Michigan State, I just want to throw that out there. But anyway, I digress. No, I think. How do you say his name again? I don't want to screw it up.
Listen, I'm probably not saying it right either, but I have it as Yerder Gross Matos.
Yeah. Okay. No, I think you are right. No, I wrote it down
on my board.
But yeah, so I think that's. I mean, obviously Miami, we all know, has a ton of picks in this draft. I mean, they would be a team too that could. Again, they have. I don't think they trade the 5th pick, but I mean, they could package the 18th pick and some other pick and shoot up. Because to me, it would be a wild card. I mean, if you're going to get, like I said, I have them. They have Joe Burrow. They could go up and get one of those big receivers too. I mean, you want to make a big splash and you have 14 picks. technically you could, but they do need to go with defense, Eric, and that's why I'm all for that pick with the players that were looking at what they truly need. And again, yes, you're if you play defense like the Bills showed last year, and Tom Brady gone or not, I mean the Bills are what, two plays away, literally 3 plays technically in 2 games from beating the Patriots twice.
Yeah,
I mean,
you're right.
So it's one of those things where you need to play defense. I mean, they've said forever it's a copycat league. Well, Belichick's been coaching defense forever, and they've had solid defenses. And I think Miami does that. And again, we'll see. I mean, again, they're going to get a quarterback at 5. I don't think you go back-to-back offensive picks, though. So okay. I said they could get crazy and trade up, but they go with your boy Matos there out of Penn State.
Jake, who you like at 18?
Who I love at 18 is going to be the guy that they have to find for Mika Fitzpatrick now in Pittsburgh, and they win. And I think they're going to go get safety Grant Delpit from LSU. I mean, this guy is a true ball hawker. And if you watch him against Utah State, Jordan Love, who is projected to be a first rounder, that guy loves to throw the deep ball, and Delpit had a blast picking him off every chance that he could. Not only that, he just makes you so angry off those deep ball throws, because he's not just a ball hawker, but he could really help out Fitzpatrick, because one of the best things about Mika Fitzpatrick was his ability on the safety blitz. And that's what Delpit was working really hard on in that defense with Dave Aranda. And that's what you're going to need with Brian Flores, because the quarterbacks are not as good as they used to be. It's only Darnold, Allen, and we don't know what the Patriots are going to do at this point. So you need a strong safety. You need to help out that secondary and be able to close that off. So go get Grant Delpit. I love this kid.
All right, well, Miami at 18, Mike, I got to agree with you. They want to make a splash, and they would do quarterback, wide receiver, and try to create a combination off jump. But I'm saying they actually roll with Xavier McKinney and actually roll with the safety out of Alabama. They've got to start building themselves.
Okay.
So that's why I say I think he's going to be a very welcomed addition to this team. I like this young man out of Roll Tide. I think he's going to be a good fit in there. Now, flipping it back to the Raiders at 19, here we go again. They just got, from my draft, they got Jerry Jeudy. So now what do you need? I think you got to work defense. Again, I don't think they want to stay. So I'm actually taking a guy, Patrick Queen, linebacker out of LSU. I like him in the mix. Living down here, watching the SEC, he seemed to be a bit of a mover and a shaker, and I think he's definitely going to be a nice piece with that defense. So Patrick Queen, linebacker, LSU. Jake, who you got?
Well, I would have gone down that road if it wasn't for Corey Littleton, which was a good signing by the Raiders at that. But, I mean, they need cornerback help. Trayvon Mullen is not who everybody thinks he is. So you have to go get the best corner. And I think that's Jalen Johnson from Utah. Because if you're looking for a guy with an attitude, with a moxie, who's very cocky but very good at what he does, that's Jalen Johnson. That's a perfect Raider. Because if you watch him in the Pac-12, he was reckless out there. I mean, he was wrecking every offense he could possibly think of, because he's like a secret agent at corner. Not only is he solid with the deep ball, but he is able to close off those screen passes. He's done that many times. He's not afraid to get his hands dirty and get inside there when you're seeing a running back. And that's what you need with the Raiders, because if you're going to move on with this team, and you got guys like LaMarcus Joyner out there, but you need someone like Jalen Johnson who's ready to go. He is ready. He's pro ready. He had that pick 6 last year that really awakened a lot of draft experts. So I think that the Raiders are going to go get Jalen Johnson.
All right, Mike, who you got with the Raiders at 19?
Well, I'm sticking with defense, and I do love Johnson, but I went with A.J. Terrell out of Clemson.
Oh, that was a good one too.
I mean, again, I know with film, everybody's going to look at big games and stuff like that too. But, yeah, I mean, I definitely like A.J. Terrell out of Clemson. I mean, yes, what you play in, they say, ACC, this and that, playing in all those playoff games and big games. And, yes, the Raiders go on offense, but they need to wherever they go on defense. I mean, I don't think they go wrong either way. So that's why I went with Terrell. I mean, it was close. I see where you're going, but I have him going a little bit later. But, yeah, the Raiders go offense, defense there too. And definitely start to shore up things. But either way, I think they're going secondary there.
All right.
That's pretty good, Mike. I mean, because Brent Venables has done an amazing job. He's the richest defensive coordinator in college football for a reason. And I was down with that too. I was down to Terrell or Jalen Johnson. I was just thinking about the kind of attitude, and I just love the daylights out of Jalen Johnson. I think he'll fit in nice with the Raiders.
So at number 20, I was very happy that this young man on my board was still available, because he is another. I'm going with the simplicity of, you played for this college, you go to this team. This is where I have C.J. Henderson from Florida, cornerback, going to the Jacksonville Jaguars at 20. Like we said earlier, Calais Campbell is gone. You've got to be able to, that 2017 defense, the team that went all the way to the AFC Championship game 3 years ago now, this was a defense that needed to be respected, and they lost that. And again, to Mike's point that I know he mentioned on our show, it's the fact that certain people still have jobs while other people don't. And I just, for the life of me, I don't understand it. I don't get it, but that's the nature of the business. I do feel like you have got to find a way to get back in the good graces of your fans. And I think by getting this young man who went to Florida, so he's a hop, skip, and a jump away, providing that impact, bringing that crowd in, putting butts in seats, that's why I'm glad he's still on my board. Jacksonville, C.J. Henderson.
Well, still on my board, though, and Jacksonville, again, would want that, but still on my board is your boy CeeDee Lamb, who ends up in Jacksonville because they want to make a big splash with a big-time receiver. I think Minshew can definitely get it done, and, the kind of arm he has, yes, there's more film on him now, but CeeDee Lamb on my board, yes, a little bit of a crazy slip for him, but CeeDee Lamb goes to the Jacksonville Jaguars. Like you said, the speed, taking the top off the defense. And, come on. I'm with you. I love defense, but the only thing that seemingly puts butts in seats is offense. And you have a young quarterback, and now you have CeeDee Lamb. I'm going with your boy out of Oklahoma, who doesn't run as good routes as Brandon Ayuk. Just saying.
All right, Jake, who you got for Jacksonville?
Listen, I love Gardner Minshew. I really do, but they don't have anybody at quarterback if Minshew becomes a failure in his second year. We just don't know. A lot of film on him. I think Jacksonville's going to gamble here because Dave Caldwell, I just don't trust the guy, but he's going to go get Jordan Love, quarterback out of Utah State, because they need to find that project. He's a project, honestly. Wow. I don't understand how this guy is not an early second rounder. To me, I watched his game film. All he is a deep ball thrower to me, and he needs work with that. Maybe Doug Marrone could try to save his job by trying to train up a project like Jordan Love. Even though in 2018 he had 32 touchdowns and 6 interceptions, he was statistically worse last year at 20 touchdowns and 17 interceptions. So anybody takes a shot with Jordan Love, you better understand. You're like in Vegas right now. You're that degenerate gambler, and you're about to push everything to the middle.
Jake, they can't take Love.
I just can't trust Jacksonville, Mike. I can't.
I agree.
You let Tom Coughlin go, but you keep Dave Caldwell, you keep Doug Marrone.
I agree.
It just doesn't make any sense.
Here you go. Jordan Love in 2018 had a little bit more talent around him. It's kind of like the whole thing with Josh Allen in Wyoming. People didn't want to take Josh, saying, Josh Allen, Wyoming. I'm like, dude, you can't coach a dude that can throw the ball 80 yards in the air. Like, you can't coach that. Sorry. But with Jordan Love, again, I think he's, a teeny bit of it might be a little bit of a project, but believe me, his 2018 compared to his 2019, yes, like you said, statistically worse. But if you look at his mechanics, his form and stuff like that, he's not that big of a project. But if Jacksonville does that at 20, Eric's right, man. If Henderson's there, say Henderson is there. Or
if Henderson is there, they got to grab him. If Henderson, they don't have A.J. Bowie. They don't have Jalen Ramsey. They need a corner bad.
Right. But if Henderson or Lamb is there, like you're not going to take a quarterback at 20. That's just a dead man zone for a quarterback. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
That's understandable. Like I said, I just don't trust Jacksonville. I just don't.
Listen, there are several teams that I don't trust when it comes to this draft, but we shall see. Gentlemen, this has been great. As always, thank you. We will wrap this up before the draft gets started. Jake Rongholt, soon-to-be production assistant at CBS Sports headquarters in Connecticut. NBC Sports Radio 1060, The Sports Hangover. Michael Carrot Tenuto out there in Arizona, and your man Eric Wilson, Sports Arena. Gentlemen.